Amen. Thank you so much, John. And if you, after listening to this message, go, I need some help, I need somebody to come alongside of us, please visit this website. It's got all the resources and ways to connect with us because you are not alone in this. There's help, there's hope, and there's healing. Every expert that we talk to, every research that you see, just about everyone will say that anxiety is on the rise. And so I've just asked an expert to come and join us here because Amy Sargent is on our team and she is a licensed marriage family therapist and she's just right here with me right now so we can talk about anxiety. Anxiety is different than worry, and so sometimes people may have a hard time distinguishing or knowing or recognizing anxiety over worry. We're all worried about stuff. When does it turn into anxiety and how would you know the difference?
Sure. So worry is basically worried about what's going to happen, right? Thinking about a test that you have to take, an interview you're going to be doing. You're worried about it, and its goal is to help you be prepared. But anxiety is excessively worrying about something, like you're not able to turn it off. And so and often you don't have anything to do to be able to prepare for in anxiety. So a definition of anxiety that a lot of professionals will use is excessive or perseverating on those worries, that you just can't stop worrying. And that's what anxiety would be called.
I just learned a new word, perseverating. That's a good word. So is it kind of like linked to maybe the length at which a worry lingers or the level, like the depth of it, or is that how you would know?
It's not necessarily the length or the depth. It's more about, like I said, being able to turn it off. Because people who worry can think about what they have to do that day and be able to be in the here and now without having the anxious thoughts continuing to intrude into their mind. But people who worry can turn it off. People who are anxious, even if they solve that problem, there's going to be another problem that they're going to be anxious about or worried about, or maybe so many things or situations, because there's also different kinds of anxiety that it's hard to name specifics, but there will be another thing to worry about for somebody who has that anxious tendency.
How do you recognize that what changes in your life when you're dealing with increased level of anxiety, physically, relationally, whatever? What do you see?
Well, sometimes you don't really see much. Like there's a lot of anxious people that you don't know are super anxious, and the only problem that they experience the discomfort of having to carry those fears or those worries around with them. But then there's some people who will have things like specific phobias where they're afraid of something and they don't want to do it or they don't want to be exposed to that. Or things like panic attacks that will be debilitating and they will have the physical symptoms of that fear and that anxiety come up. And so in some people, you might never know that they're anxious, but then in other people, you might definitely see the way that their behaviors or they'll change their life according to those things, or you'll see their response to the anxiety, the physical response.
So I have a question for you. So what if, because I'm a minimizer, I just like to push things away. What if we don't deal with our anxiety? What if we just say, it's going to go away, the pandemic's going to go away, I'm probably going to get another job, and I'm going to get another relationship, it's going to be fine. What happens if we don't actually deal with anxiety head on? What could happen to us?
Well, there's a lot of different things that could happen. I think anxiety often will beget more anxiety. So the more that you worry about stuff, the more potential that there is to worry about more things. And unfortunately, one of the things that can happen is that it elicits, one thing that does happen is that it elicits stress hormones in your body. And if over time you are exposed to more and more of that cortisol, more of the stress, more of the problems in your body, it will respond to it. Like you'll develop ulcers, you can develop, heart issues, you can develop other digestive issues. There's all sorts of physiological issues that you can have if you continue to have those stress hormones in your body on a regular basis. But besides that, the other thing that I'd want to say is that you don't have to continue to endure the fears and the worries and the concerns that you're carrying around, at least to the same level that somebody who's suffering with this has them. And so just for your peace of mind, and so that you're not limited by preventing yourself from doing things or going to places that you have more worries or concerns about, you can break free from some of that, and being able to be more content and be able to live more in the here and now will help your relationships and will just help you feel better individually.
Well, that's a good point to say. If you are dealing with this, don't just push it aside. Don't put it in a box and put it on the shelf. Instead, deal with your anxiety. Again, this website will help you find the resources and a way to connect with us. But for right now, what are some practical steps that people can take right now to deal with their anxiety?
Yeah, I would encourage you, the very first thing, any of my clients that have had a lot of anxiety, the first things that I tell them is get good sleep. Make sure you get good sleep in a good sleeping environment. Get good exercise daily, and because exercise and sleep are what decrease cortisol, or the stress hormone in your body. And so those two things alone are going to help tremendously. Eating a good, healthy diet will do the same, and not having caffeine or sugar or different things that could spike more of that anxious feelings inside of you. So those are some of the very first things that I tell clients. Additionally, I would say do some things that are keeping you focused in the here and now, right? There's different grounding exercises or tools that you can use for right now, and that keep you in the present moment. You had shared one with me earlier about look for something red. Think of the color red, and then look around the room and look for everything red that you can find. Those are what we call grounding exercises to bring you here right now in this moment instead of being worried about the future. And then fresh air or time with friends or journaling and thinking about all that you have right here in this moment that God has blessed you with, or different things like that will be helpful for you in this time while you're dealing with anxiety.
These are great practical steps. I really love that. Thank you so much for that, Amy. And if there's anything we can do to come alongside you or pray with you about your anxiety or any worries that you have, please get a hold of us. I'm so glad that you're here, Amy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks.